Hello, I'm Alyssa, and these are my November 2020 favorites. I know I'm always a little bit late with favorites, but it takes a little bit longer for me to make this video, but I love it. And if you're new to my channel and you don't know what my favorites are, that's where I list my favorite movies, TV shows, video games, and books of the past month, and I kind of elaborate on them probably a teeny bit too much, to be honest. But I will have timestamps down below in the description box in case you want to jump around to different categories. And yeah, let's just get started with movies. And with movies, I do show my letterbox on the screen. Hopefully I'll be better at, actually implementing this at some point in the future. But you get to see what I watched, what I liked, what I didn't like, and I think it's a really cool feature, and you can add me on Letterboxd through the link in the description box below the video. Okay, let's get started. So the first movie that I watched in November was Totally Under Control. This is a documentary about how the pandemic has been handled in the country. It is from the same director that directed Scientology Going Clear, I believe is the name of it. And this is a super informative documentary. Yes, you'll hear a lot of the same statistics that you've heard before, but the fact that they talk to people that are in the scientific field that have had contact and experience with the virus, and how they explain how the government has screwed it up so royally in America, it's heartbreaking, it's shocking, it's disgusting. This is an extremely well done documentary. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's on Hulu in America if you want to stream it. I do recommend it, even if you know a lot about what's going on, the Rona. I do think it's really well worth watching, and as you can see on the screen, a lot of people really liked it. There is 1-3, but But yeah, I highly recommend Totally Under Control because it's a vitally important documentary right now, as it is now in 2020, and as the cases keep going up. It's really sad. Okay, so the second thing is not actually a movie, and I did talk about this in last month's favorite, so I'm not really going to go too much into it, but that is the 2001 anime of Fruits Basket. I adored it, but I am going to talk about the 2019 version in the favorites part, and it's a lot better. But I still think this is a really worthwhile anime to watch. It's cute and adorable and wholesome. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm the only person that has logged it on my friends list. So if you've watched it and you want to follow me on Letterboxd, do it. Shameless self-promotion. Okay, the next movie is Hitchcock's Rebecca. I actually like Ben Wheatley's version better. That's going to be crucified, I know. But this was too faithful to the novel, and I just feel like I was rewatching what I had read not too long ago. It is very well made, the performances are great. I do like it, but I'm just not as big a fan of this as I was Ben Wheatley's version, which changed things a lot and made it seem more refreshing. On a second watch, I might appreciate this more. I still gave it 3.5 out of 5, which is a really good score. But yeah, I didn't like it as much as the newer one, and yeah, people are gonna crucify me for that. I also rewatched Miss Americana, the Taylor Swift documentary, 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's excellently well made. I loved learning more about Taylor. I do see why some people don't like this documentary that much because it does delve into her political leanings, but I thought it was really interesting to see a different side of her than what is portrayed in the media, and I think this was really well done, respectfully made, well handled, and I am a Swiftie. I will admit that. I have no shame, so this was really interesting to me. So yeah, 5 out of 5, rewatch. Next movie I freaking utterly adored, and that is Proxima. I have like the biggest crush on Eva Green, and she is phenomenal in this. This is a film by Alice Whitaker, and it's a film about a woman named Sarah who is an astronaut, and she is the only woman being sent with a group of men up to the International Space Station, and she has to stay there for a year, but she has a very young daughter named Stella that she has to leave behind, and it really just shows how working moms have to sacrifice so much to make their dreams come true and to provide for their families, but also the fact that they have to be separated from their families and the grief and the sometimes trauma that can come with it. This was beautifully made. The performances were great. I thought it was really interesting that the film is in 4 different languages: English, French, German and Russian. And the group of actors, the cast, is so eclectic. Eva Green, Matt Dillon. There are some others that you may or may not know. You can look at the list. But I just love this film. 4.5 out of 5 stars. And they used authentic training missions in the film. Authentic gear and suits. And that just made it feel so much more real and so much more powerful. And yeah, if you can find this movie, watch it. It's so, so good. I cried. I seriously cried because it was that great. It was so freaking good. Another movie I loved was The Trial of the Chicago 7. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is streaming on Netflix. And it's Aaron Sorkin's second film as a director. I love this. I really love Sacha Baron Cohen in this as Abby Hoffman. And this is based on a true story about the Chicago 7, the trial. They were attempting to do a peaceful protest at a rally, and it turned into a violent affair, which echoes a lot of what's going on this year. But the cast is phenomenal. Again, with Sacha Baron Cohen, but also Eddie Redmayne, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Mark Rylance, John Carroll Lynch. Let's see, who else? Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Jeremy Strong, Michael Keaton, Frank Langella. I mean, all these actors are phenomenal, and this was such a gripping movie. Even though most of this takes place in a courtroom, I wasn't bored at all. And I felt joyous at some points, emotional at some points, and I loved it. I loved Aaron Sorkin's typically fast-paced dialogue. I loved the way the characters interacted with each other, and I was blown away. I really was. I then watched Once, which is, if not John Carney's first movies, one of his first movies. But this was wonderful. Wonderful. I've loved Begin Again and Sing Street, and I had never watched Once, and I finally fixed that. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. You can tell it's very low budget, but the soundtrack is incredible. The chemistry between the two leading actors, Glenn Hansard and Marketa Irglova, if I said that wrong, I'm so sorry. It's just great. It's so heartwarming, and it doesn't go the way you think it's gonna go. It's a romance, but it's more than that. And if you haven't watched Once, it's not really a musical. There are musical numbers, but they don't just break out in song and dance, okay? It's a drama with musical aspects. I highly recommend watching it. Currently, in the US, as of the time of filming, it's on HBO Max. But you can probably find it to rent or purchase somewhere else. But yeah, I really loved Once. Okay, the next film was one that I have really conflicting feelings about, and I don't know how to feel about it. I could not review it because I still cannot, to this day, formulate what I think about this movie, and I feel like I need to watch it again. But that is Possessor. This is a film by David Cronenberg's son, Brandon Cronenberg, and you can tell he is heavily influenced by his father with this film. And I don't want to reveal too much about what this film is about because I think you need to see it to be able to grasp it, or kind of grasp it. But it's about this woman named Tasia who can jump into other people's bodies, and then she is a hit woman or a hit man. Whoever she jumps into, she takes over their body, she eliminates a target, and then she goes back to her own body. But once she enters one man's body, things take a turn, and oh boy. Oh boy. That's all I'm gonna say. This is a body horror, science fiction, mashup film. It's got Andrea Riseborough, Christopher Abbott, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Sean Bean. Sean Bean. Can you guess? I'm sorry. It's not that much of a spoiler, to be honest, by now. But it's such a hard film to categorize, and to even, once you watch it, I was just like, what? What? It literally makes your brain explode. But the performances are excellent. The effects are magnificently gory and amazing. The film is beautifully choreographed, and the cinematography is stunning. It's a lot to take in. And it's disturbing. So I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars, but if I watch it again, that might go up or down. But yeah, check it out for yourself. The next one I'm going to highly recommend, and that is Words on Bathroom Walls. This is an indie gem of a movie, and this did make me cry. It's about a teenage boy who is diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it completely changes his life. And he not only has to deal with going to a new school and hiding his diagnosis, but the fact that his mom has moved on from his dad. She's dating this man played by Walton Goggins, which I always love Walton Goggins. It's a teen movie, yes, but it's so heartfelt and so emotional, and the fact that it approaches mental illness in the way that it does, it's very respectful of it. I do think they could have delved a little bit deeper into it, but the way they portrayed it, I think, was very honest and accurate. Of course, I don't suffer from that, so I cannot speak from personal experience. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I think this was extremely powerful, and it's also got Charlie Plummer in it, Andy Garcia, Molly Parker, Anna Sophia Robb. It's a great cast, but this movie, highly recommend it. Okay, the next one I'll watch, because I'm currently watching the TV series, and as a teacher, it's okay. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. This is Hannah Fidel's feature debut. She's since made a few more movies. It doesn't condone teacher-student relationships, but it doesn't scream this is wrong either, which irked me, because it should. Again, this is about a teacher-student relationship. That's all you need to know. And the performances are really powerful, but I don't like how the incident is portrayed. I don't like the fact that it's not immediately extremely condoned. And I think it just didn't end well. Like, the ending was just bleh. But I did give it 3 out of 5 because, again, the performances are excellent. But it's just, I don't know. I kind of feel like I probably need to bump it down now, to be honest, hearing myself talk about it. But the TV show is doing a lot better of a job than the movie did. Next up is another anime. I only watched the first season. Tell me if I need to watch the second and the third and the fourth. But that is Tokyo Ghoul. I really liked the first season, but I heard that the next 3 are just dog crap. I don't know. Tell me. Let me know if you've seen this. But the first season is amazing. It sees this high school boy named Kaneki be attacked by a ghoul, which in this version of Japan, ghouls are just a part of society, and he becomes half human, half ghoul, but he can't let anyone know he's half ghoul because he'll basically be put on a witch hunt. It's just really interesting to see how he reacts to being half ghoul and his desire for human flesh, and also how he interacts with the other ghouls that he works with at Onteku, which is a coffee shop, but also the place where this group of ghouls live that don't want to hurt humans. It's really interesting. It's very gory. And this first season does end at a place I think it could have stopped, but there are loose ends that aren't tied up. But again, I don't want to watch the following seasons if it's just going to disappoint me. So let me know, but I did give the first season 4 out of 5 stars. I then watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which I think I like this more than most people did. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love it. I have seen the original Star Wars Holiday Special, and that was... This one just makes it so much better. It has little jokes that poke fun at the series. It is a little jarring when you see, you know, Lego minifigs of Rey and Poe and Finn, and they're not voiced by the movie counterparts, but the voice actors do a fantastic job with portraying these characters, and it's just adorable to see all these iconic Star Wars moments and characters in Lego form. It's just so great, and it's only a 48-minute special, so it's super easy to watch. It was funny, it was nostalgic, heartwarming, it got me in the holiday spirit. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know why everyone else is hating so much, but I mean, it's definitely an improvement over the original Star Wars Holiday Special. It's on Disney Plus if you want to check it out. Okay, next up I watched Kevin Hart's Zero F's Given, and I'm a fan of Kevin Hart's stand-up, and I actually really enjoyed this. I thought it was funny for the most part. A couple jokes I was like, nah. But for the most part, yeah, I really liked it. And I will keep saying the vid from now on, referring to, you know, haha, pandemic. But yeah, it's just funny. He does it in his basement, and it's funny. It's on Netflix. Next up, I watched this documentary called Disclosure. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This focuses on the portrayal of trans characters in movie and television, and the documentary focuses and interviews on trans actors and trans individuals in the film industry. It's really interesting, and it's really heartbreaking and shocking to see how trans characters are portrayed to this day, especially farther back, but even to this day, they're portrayed pretty horrendously in most things. And it's a wake-up call that we need to be more inclusive and be more respectful, but it does kind of, what's the word? Repeat, I can't think of a better word, certain messages over and over again, which is what caused me to give it 4 out of 5, because I felt like I was rewatching the same thing a couple of times, and I just felt like it could have gone a little farther. But it is very well done, and I really enjoyed hearing about the perspective and how trans characters are portrayed, and I think Hollywood needs to do a better job, and we as a people need to do better jobs. We just need to be more kind. I'm sorry. I'm stopping with it now. I also watched Run, which I really enjoyed. Sarah Paulson is always a fantastic actress in my opinion. And in this film, which is by the director of Searching, which I also loved, she plays a woman who has a daughter who has a litany of illnesses. She is confined in a wheelchair, and Sarah Paulson's mother is constantly, you know, giving her daughter medications. She has her homeschooled. She never really takes her out of the house that much, and then the daughter one day realizes her mom is giving her a new pill, and she thinks something's up, and that's all I'm gonna say. It was really well done, fast-paced. I never really could guess what was going to happen next. I did guess what the major theme of the film was, but to see the events unfold was really interesting, and I think this was a really, really well done thriller. It's shocking, it's exciting. Definitely watch it. It's only an hour and a half. It's not going to take you long to watch, but it's really well done. Okay, this next one tore my heart out in a 12-minute time period. And as If Anything Happens, I Love You. I'm not going to say too much about this because, well, you're going to see it on the screen. Try not to look at it, but if you did, it's still powerful. But it's a 12-minute short on Netflix that is completely animated. There are no lines of dialogue, but it deals with the fact that these parents lose their daughter in a tragic affair, and it shows how they're dealing with their grief. The soundtrack and score is amazing. The animation is wonderful, and just the message, it's so powerful. It's going to rip your heart out, and if this is not nominated for an Oscar for Best Short Film, I'm gonna be shocked. I also watched Unhinged, which actually I liked it more than I thought I would. Unhinged has Russell Crowe being a man who is unhinged. This woman... Are you serious? The phone's ringing again! Every time I film. Anyway, the film sees Russell Crowe's character, who is unnamed, get mad at this woman who honks at him because he's sitting at a green light, and he is just determined to make her life a living hell. It's really entertaining. It's very gory, which I was kind of surprised at. I didn't expect that level of gore. And it's exciting. Is it predictable? At some points, yes. Some points, no. But, I mean, it's fun. It's a great way to spend an hour and a half. It's entertaining. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. But it was a fun action thriller, and 3.5 out of 5 stars. Definitely worth checking out, especially to see Russell Crowe as this madman. I also watched The New Mutants. Again, I did not hate it as much as most people do. But I am a huge fan of the X-Men franchise, so pretty much every film I've seen in the X-Men franchise, I've given no lower than a 3-star rating. I do think this could have delved further into the horror aspects, because those are the best aspects of the film. But it was interesting to see a take on the X-Men franchise with different characters that are not at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. They're in this it's not really an asylum, it's an institution, I guess you'd say. And they're all troubled teenagers. And just to see their powers, to see these lesser known comic characters be brought on screen, it's impressive. I do think it could have been done a little bit better. I think the constant reshoots and delays probably hindered it more than it should. But I don't think it's as terrible as most people do. Like, if you look at the ratings here, they're abysmal. But I enjoyed it for what it was. It could have been better, but for what it was fun time, interesting take on the X-Men, more horror-leaning take. It could have leaned a little further, but it's worth a watch. I then watched End of Watch, and oh man, this movie. I'd always meant to watch End of Watch, but I just had never gotten around to it, and I noticed it was leaving Netflix on a certain day, the day after I watched it. So I watched it, and I was not expecting what happened to happen. This has Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena as two cops who are partners, and you see them go about their lives as being cops, and you see them go to, very minor incidents to very disturbing major incidents that are traumatic and change their lives. It is filmed in somewhat of a found footage style, but it works with this film. The story did not go the way I was expecting it to. I loved the chemistry and the camaraderie between Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena, and this movie did make me cry. It shocked me. I was not expecting to see what I saw on screen. It is disturbing, so I have to give that warning. If you are squeamish or you're sensitive to disturbing material, this movie is extremely disturbing. But it's so hard-hitting, and it makes you realize what cops have to go through in their day-to-day lives, and it's so powerful. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I will definitely rewatch it as soon as I can heal from what I saw. I also watched Bushwick, which again is another film that left Netflix the day after I watched it, and I liked it more than most people, I think. Well, actually the ratings are pretty good on here from the people I follow, but Bushwick is a film that stars Dave Bautista, which he is really good in this film, okay? He's better than he usually is. And Brittany Snow. They both end up in Bushwick, but they find out that this mysterious military militia has taken over, and it's just dog eat dog. And they have to survive. They're both trying to get to a destination of their own. They help each other out. And for the most part, it's a really well done thriller. It's shot to look like it's one take, but there are some obvious cuts, so it's not one take. My voice is already going. Jeez. But yeah, this movie was surprisingly emotional, gory, and the ending is one that people are going to either love or hate. I'm kind of like, meh. I think it was hard-hitting, but I don't know. I guess I liked it, actually, because it didn't go the way I thought. And it's a really unique take. Most people wouldn't have been ballsy enough to have that ending, but Carrie Murnion and Jonathan Milot really did go there. So I think I like the ending. I think I like it because it just was unexpected. So if you're looking for an action thriller movie that's different, definitely give Bushwick a watch. I then watched Happiest Season because I was like, I need to get in the holiday season some more. And it was so cute. Oh my gosh. I love Kristen Stewart in this. She's finally in a romantic comedy. And I mean, I love the whole cast, but Kristen Stewart is really the standout. But also Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek. He is so freaking funny in this. But it's about this couple, Abby and Harper. Abby is played by Kristen Stewart. Harper is played by Mackenzie Davis, which I also really like everything she's been in so far. And they're a couple, and they're going to Harper's family's house for Christmas. But the thing is, Harper hasn't told her family that she's gay, so they think she's straight and that Abby is her roommate, who's also straight. It's funny, but it also has some really heartbreaking and heartwarming moments. The cast is phenomenal. Besides the two lead actresses and Dan Levy, there's also Mary Steenburgen, Alison Brie, Aubrey Plaza, Victor Garber, Mary Holland, other fantastic actors and actresses. It's just a unique Christmas film, and it's cheerful. It makes you feel good. It's a happy film, hence the name Happiest Season, and it's on Hulu. at least in the United States. Highly recommend you check it out. I rewatched Last Christmas because I love it. I love Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding, and I really like George Michael's music. And I loved the Christmas song Last Christmas, so I was like, I'm rewatching this. It's happy. It does have a twist, which I knew about before I even watched it the first time. It was ruined for me, but you know, it's still enjoyable when you know the twist. It's cute. It's even a little inspirational. And yeah, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Most people hate it, as you can see. But I love it. I love it. And my dad really liked it because I watched it with him. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. And I gave Happiest Season 4 out of 5 stars. I think I forgot to mention that. Another holiday movie that is different and that I recommend is Fat Man. Fat Man has Mel Gibson as Santa Claus. That's all you need to know. It also has Walton Goggins. He popped up again this month as a hitman who is hired by a young boy to kill Santa Claus because Santa leaves the boy with coal because he is a little piece of crap. I'm not kidding. The kid's horrible. But it's darkly comedic, but it's also really just interesting to see Mel Gibson as Santa Claus. It's action-packed. It's a different take on the Christmas holiday movie, and I really enjoyed it. My fiance actually recommended it to me. He said it's really good. And I looked at the rating and I'm kind of like, are you sure? But I loved it, and so did my dad. I watched it with my dad because I thought he would like a Mel Gibson action movie that's also Christmassy. But I do recommend it. I mean, Mel Gibson and Walton Goggins are great, but so is Marianne Jean-Baptiste. Chance Hurstfield is great as the little crap Billy. Yeah, I recommend it. It's darkly comedic, action-packed, Christmas, holiday goodness. And the last thing I watched in November is not a movie, but it is a mini-series, and that's The Undoing, which I'm actually going to talk about in the TV portion, but you could see I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. But yeah, that's what I watched in November in the movie portion. So now moving on to the TV I loved this month. Okay, first off, I'm just going to mention the thing I've been obsessed with, and that is Fruits Basket, the 2019 version. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I love it. It follows the same premise as the 2001 anime, but it's so much better. It sees a girl named Toru Honda stumble across the Soma family because she is living in a tent after her mother has died because she's too ashamed to admit that she's homeless. And the Soma boys, who are at that point Yuki Soma and Shigure Soma, take her in. They say, you can stay here as long as you cook and clean for us. She meets Kyo Soma, which, Kyo is my baby! I just love this series, and this version is much more faithful to the manga than the 2001 version is. It does bring back a lot of the same voice actors, which is phenomenal. And they sound pretty much exactly the same, and I'm like, how? It's 19 years later. How? The animation style is so much more beautiful. It does tackle some darker topics, which could be triggering for some people, but I don't want to say the triggering topics on YouTube because I don't want my video to be pushed further down the algorithm than it already is. But I highly recommend it. It is streaming on Funimation and Crunchyroll, so check it out if it sounds interesting to you. I also forgot to mention that in the Soma family, if someone of the opposite sex who is not a part of the family hugs one of the Soma family members, they turn into an animal from the Chinese zodiac, which is so cool. And cute, and also troublesome for the characters. But yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm obsessed. I really loved Criminal UK Season 2 on Netflix. I love my British crime procedural shows, and this is one of them. Every episode is focused on a different character and is fronted by a different actor. This season they had Sophie Okonedo, Kit Harington, Kunal Nair, and Sharon Horgan as the main stars, but each case is so intriguing. It never turns out the way you think it's going to turn out, and each episode is about 45 minutes long, so it's super easy to binge. I really love it. If you've watched the other criminal series on Netflix, let me know if I should watch those as well. But I really love Criminal UK. Now, to mention The Undoing, which I showed you in the movie portion, it's excellent. It's based off a novel called You Should Have Known, and it stars Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant as a couple Jonathan and Grace Fraser. Jonathan is a pediatric oncologist. Grace is a clinical psychologist. But then one of the women that has a child that goes to Grace and Jonathan's son's prestigious school ends up dead. She's murdered. And it causes a huge kerfuffle. You haven't heard that word in a while, have you? Among both the Fraser family, her friend group, and the state of New York. It's so interesting. Every episode has different twists and turns, and it's really worth checking out. You can stream it on HBO Max here. Highly recommend it if you're into mystery thrillers. It's very well done. I already mentioned season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul in the movie portion. Just let me know if I should watch the other 3 seasons, because I really love the first season, but I don't want to be disappointed by the consecutive seasons. I'm also thoroughly enjoying season 2 of Expedition X. Expedition X stars Jessica Chobot and Phil Torres. This is a reality show, by the way. But they go to these different sites that are rumored to be haunted, to have UFO activity, to have cryptids, etc. And they go to these locations, they inspect them, they gather up clues and evidence, they talk to witnesses, and they try to either prove or debunk the rumor or the theory or the story. And it's just really interesting to see them go to these locations and to hear what people have to say and to learn more about what is happening. And it's also interesting to see if they can disprove it or not. It is kind of spooky, to be honest, especially for a reality TV show, but I am into this kind of stuff, and if you are too, it is on Discovery Channel right now. And yeah, it's great. Expedition X. Check it out if you are into spooky crap like I am. I'm also really loving the current season of This Is Us. Most of you already know about what This Is Us is about. It's about the Pearson family and their trials and tribulations. Just check it out if you haven't already. It's great. It's great. And the last show I want to mention is The Flight Attendant, which is currently streaming on HBO Max. It stars Kaylee Cuoco as a flight attendant who is an alcoholic, and she has a one-night stand with one of the passengers on one of her flights. They have the one-night stand in Bangkok, but then she wakes up next to his corpse. And she cleans the crime scene, which is, of course, a big no-no, runs away, and now she is being investigated for his murder, but other things are happening. She's getting insights from somebody about where to try to find clues to who the actual culprit is. It's darkly comedic, but it's mostly serious. Kaylee Cuoco is freaking fantastic in this. As is Mikhail Huisman. I have loved him ever since I first saw him on his television screen. Yeah, I'm loving The Flight Attendant way more than I thought I would. It's phenomenal. Check it out. Okay, for games, I really, really loved If Found, which was provided to me by the Gaming Outsider. This is a wonderful visual novel about a trans woman in Ireland trying to figure out her sexuality, who she really is, what she wants to do in life, dealing with her mother who is not very accepting of her. It's a beautiful game. I'm not going to say too much more about it because I will redirect you to my written review on thegamingoutsider.com. Check that out if you want to know more about If Found. And another game I received from the Gaming Outsider was Chicken Police Painted Red. This is such a quirky game. I played it on Xbox One, and it's like a film noir, but with anthropomorphic animals. And you just solve a murder case. And it's great. That voice acting's fantastic. Highly recommend you check it out. But first, check out my written review on thegamingoutsider.com. Those are going to be linked in the description box below the video. Okay, a game that I can speak a little bit more about is Astro's Playroom. This comes free with every PS5, so if you're lucky enough to get a PS5 and you haven't played Astro's Playroom, play it! Not only is it a wonderful little platforming game, it's technically a tech demo, but it's also a great platforming game. It really shows you how amazing the DualSense controller is. It has specialized rumble that can activate in any part of the controller. It has a bigger touchpad that's more sensitive, and just easier to use than the previous controller had. The triggers can use haptic feedback to make them a little more resistant, so you feel like you're actually shooting like an arrow from a bow. It has a built-in speaker. You can also blow into the controller and it can power little like windmills and fans, which that's kind of a little gimmicky feature, to be honest, but it's cool. But it's just such a cute game. It pays homage to the history of PlayStation and popular PlayStation games, and even some games that aren't Sony published and developed, but they're popular. It's just so cute and so nostalgic, and it's free on PlayStation 5, so play it. It's so good. And now to talk about the books I loved in November. I was gonna say December. If I said December earlier on, please forgive me. It's November favorites. First up is Misery by Stephen King. I love the film version of this, but I never read the novel until now, and it's so good. I think it is a little bit different. I haven't seen the film in a few years. I need to rewatch it to see how it stacks up. But of course, this sees Annie Wilkes pick up Paul Sheldon, her favorite author, after he crashes his car in a blizzard, and he has broken both of his legs, and she has put them in splints, but obviously she's not all there. She has some issues, and as the book goes along, you see how twisted she really is. I will say this book is more graphic than the movie. Some scenes have been changed, and obviously the scenes in the book are more disturbing than what the movie portrays. And it's wonderfully written. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I pretty much love everything I've read by him, and Misery is one of the novels that really sticks its landing. And it's just so good and so disturbing, and every twist and turn is shocking. So I highly recommend this if you love the movie, or if you're interested in learning the story of Annie Wilkes and Paul Sheldon. Definitely check it out. And the last book and last favorite, and thank God because my voice is going to go out, is Clanlands, Whiskey, Warfare, and a Scottish Adventure Like No Other by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish. Okay, most of you know I'm obsessed with I'm obsessed with Outlander, and Sam Heughan's like my #1 celebrity crush right here. Yeah, hi Sam. But this sees them as they're going and filming their show Men in Kilts, which is not aired yet. But it talks about their road trip through Scotland, and they elaborate on Scottish traditions, Scottish landmarks, historical figures from Scotland, Scottish wars. It's just so informative, and it can take a little bit to read because it does read like a history book. But the cool thing about this is Sam and Graham also interject personal stories about themselves and the other comrade, and they're just funny when they're talking about themselves. It's hilarious. I laughed out loud several times. And this book is written pretty much like a diary. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, like, with the pages I'm showing. Not really. But it also has some pictures of both Sam and Graham in it. It's got drawings. They have, like, lyrics to songs, traditional Scottish folk songs in it. It's really wonderful. If you're into Scotland or you're loving Outlander and you love both these men, highly recommend you check this out. It's educational, funny, informative. It's great. It's really, really great. So those are my November 2020 favorites. Let me know what you loved in November or are currently loving down below in the comments. If you liked the video, leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already to join the Alycat family. And tap the notification bell so you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to follow me on social media sites, those will be linked in the description box below the video, along with my written reviews for the games I mentioned. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.